Today we're on California's Highway S22, which stretches from the mountains of San Diego's East County all the way to the Salton Sea. There's quite a few interesting things to see along the road, including one of the best desert views of any drive in California. The S22 is a county highway in Southern California that begins at the junction with County Highway S2 in the mountains of San Diego County and travels for about 47 miles before it ends at the junction with State Route 86 in Salton City, a community on the shores of California's largest lake, the Salton Sea. In this video, we are going to show a number of our favorite and some of the most unique stops on the highway. But as the highway goes through the heart of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park, it is in no way meant to be a comprehensive list of things to do and see on the S22. For this trip, we are heading from west to east. After turning off the S2, the S22 runs eastward on Montezuma Valley Road. About a mile after the road begins, it crosses over the Pacific Crest Trail, the hiking trail that goes from the Mexican border to the Canadian border. Our first stop on the S22 is the small town of Ranchita to visit the Ranchita Yeti. The Yeti is 11 feet tall and has stood on the S22 since 2007. The Yeti is the mascot of the Montezuma Valley Market. The original market burned down in April 2021, but has now reopened a few feet from the original location. Just past Ranchita, the S22 enters the Anza Borrego Desert State Park for the first time. Now the views along the drive really start to pick up as you begin to make the descent down to the town of Borrego Springs through Montezuma Valley and Hellhole Canyon. The windy road that leads down the mountains into the desert below has probably the best desert views of any drive in California. The road down the mountain was first proposed in the 1930s, but construction didn't start until 1955. It took 9 years to be completed, and the highway opened on June 24, 1964. The road was signed as the S22 in 1968. On the descent down, you'll come to the Montezuma Valley Lookout, and the views from there are amazing. On a clear day, or even a not so clear day like on our drive, you can see the Salton Sea over 35 miles away as you overlook a huge chunk of the Anza Borrego Desert. The views the entire way down the mountain are just amazing. This is such a fun drive. Once you reach the bottom of the mountain and pass Hellhole Canyon, you arrive at the town of Borrego Springs. A great place to stop in Borrego Springs is the Anza Borrego Foundation, which is a great resource for information about Anza Borrego Desert State Park. A number of park maps, books, souvenirs, and other goods are available for purchase at the store. The S22 goes through Christmas Circle, which is a cool little park that was named for Salvador Ignacio Linares, who was born in nearby Coyote Canyon on Christmas Eve in 1775. The park has picnic tables, a gazebo, and public restrooms, and a surprising amount of green grass for being in the middle of the desert. All around Borrego Springs, you can find the amazing artwork of Ricardo Braceta, such as this huge sea serpent. Unfortunately, the S22 is one of the only roads through the town that the giant sculptures can't actually be seen from. But it is worth taking a detour off the highway to check out some of these amazing sculptures if you have the time. Our next stop on the highway is a few miles outside of the town of Borrego Springs, the Liar Pegleg Smith Monument. Pegleg Smith was a con man who lived from 1801 to 1866. He claimed to have found a fortune of gold in the California desert and would sell maps to the supposed location of the gold. Needless to say, the gold was never found. If you want to find Pegleg's gold, Supposedly you need to add 10 rocks to this pile of stones. We did a video on this monument before, which I'll link in the description, but this is a fun stop, and who knows, maybe adding 10 more stones will do the trick, and you'll find Peg Leg's gold. Next up is the road to Fonts Point, which is known for having one of the best viewpoints in the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. The road to Fonts Point used to be passable by standard automobiles, but unfortunately the road is degraded over the years, and now you need a four-wheel drive vehicle to get out there, which we don't have today. But here's some footage of what it looks like from Fonts Point. If you don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle to make it to Fonts Point, but still want some incredible views, the Badlands Viewpoint is located about 6.5 miles past the turnoff for Fonts Point. The viewpoint isn't well signed, so you do need to keep your eye out for the informational kiosk to know where to pull off the highway. From the viewpoint, you'll have views of the Badlands, the mountains off in the distance, and the canyons below. Just a few minutes past the Badlands Viewpoint is the Calcite Mine Trail. There are a lot of great hikes in Anza Borrego Desert State Park, and this one here is the Calcite Mine Trail, which leads to some really cool slot canyons. At the beginning of World War II, calcite was mined in order to make bomb sites, and this trail leads to an old calcite mine. If you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, you can actually drive most of the trail, but it's a fairly easy hike. It's a little bit less than 2 miles to the mine, and it's a well-graded road. However, as far as we're concerned, the main attraction on the trail is the amazing slot canyons that are located just a little bit more than a mile from the start of the trail. The slot canyons are so much fun to walk around in and explore. This is one of the coolest hikes in Anza Borrego Desert State Park. One of the really amazing things about this hike is we saw quite a few cars parked at the trailhead, but while we were in the slot canyons, we did not see another soul. From the slot canyons, there are quite a few side canyons to explore where you can find some dry waterfalls and some really narrow passages that you probably don't want to be in the case of an earthquake. You could easily spend hours exploring the slot canyons. Across the street from the Calcite Mine Trailhead, you can see an original section of the Truckhaven Trail. A lot of the roads through the Anza Borrego Desert were created by Alfred Armstrong Beatty, who was known as Doc in the early 1900s. A good portion of the S22 through the desert covers what was once the Truckhaven Trail, one of Doc's roads. Finally, we reach the end of the S22 when it reaches California State Route 86 at Salton City. Originally planned as a resort town, development began on Salton City in 1958, but by 1965 the town's downfall already begun. When Salton City was planned and mapped out, they planned the city to house 40,000 residents. The town never grew anywhere near that size, however, and today only about 3,700 people live in Salton City. It is worth continuing down the road past California State Route 86 and heading deeper into Salton City, as the town is really fun to explore. If you keep going down the road, you will reach what was once a palm tree-lined avenue that leads to where the long-gone Salton City Yacht Club was. You'll quickly notice that the yacht club isn't the only thing that is gone. While the S22 doesn't quite make it all the way to the Salton Sea, we do recommend continuing down the road just a little bit longer and going to where the Salton City Yacht Club used to be. You get some great views of the Salton Sea, and if you would have come here 20 years ago, where we're standing right now probably would have been underwater, but as you can see, the decades have really shrunk the Salton Sea, and now it is way back there. But still, great place to end the drive. And this is where we're going to be ending the drive on the S22 today. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.